Okay, I want to give it a shout out to Blues Digest for their October 14th, 2025 video. And it says it just got so much worse. So let's check out what they say here.
Evaluated.
Video.
What is your thoughts on everything? Let us know down below. And speaking on comments, we'll go straight into comments of the day. Coming from Insights, he says Pew Suter is a Swiss Army Knights. And listen, Suter was awesome last night, scoring a big one. But what is your thoughts on the Blues team? Who has stood out the most? Who has looked the worst? Let us know all your thoughts down in the comments, and you could be featured on comments of the day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back another episode, so keep your eye for that. And listen, we're going to be spamming live streams soon as well. So if there's a certain day, post game, pre game, anything like that you want us to do certain days, let us know in the comments as well. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host Darius, and take you after an outroar from fans on social media. Jim Montgomery has a huge decision to make with their young, promising defenseman heading into the remainder of the season as they try to navigate exactly what to do with them. We're going to break down reports, fan reactions, and everything else on the Logan Mailloux situation that have fans talking. We're going to break down all this and so much more in this episode, so you're not going to miss it. So, Darius, let's just dive straight into it today, where we do get a lot coming from Logan Mailloux. You can see from Blues Views a lot of things tonight I liked. Logan Mailloux isn't on the list. Too early to panic, but may need some time in Springfield. Early return on the trade isn't great, but it's always about the long-term outlook. Now, there's a lot looking at Logan Mailloux. If you're looking at some advanced stats, sometimes he does look good, having a good defensive game, but not playing well offensively. You bounce back and forth, and we haven't got a complete game out of Logan Mailloux in a trade when acquiring from the Montreal Canadiens. Now we're going to dive into exactly what they got for this and how it does look bad for the St. Louis Blues right now. But Darius, there is a lot to like on Mailloux and a lot to not like. I mean, going in to all pairings in the NHL with a minimum of 10 minutes played, we can see the Broberg and Mailloux are ranked 6, unexpected goals 4, but just going into Mailloux, a player that is still very young and honestly struggling quite a bit. What is your thoughts on his future with this team, and do you think maybe an AHL stint is on the horizon?
Yes, and we all are looking at analytics and a small sample size, right? A lot of people might say this is a very small sample size, but they've only played a handful of games at this point. So we have to look at the data that we have, and it has looked pretty good when he has been playing with anybody other than Tyler Tucker, who also has had a rough start to the season. Obviously, we see it out there, the fan uproar right now that Logan Mailloux, and it's not just coming out of nowhere. You could look at the advanced analytics as well, like the impact score charts, and see that he's at the bottom with Tyler Tucker for the majority of the last couple of games, right? So that is a problem. Now, I think the biggest reason why people and listen again, we're not pulling it out of nowhere. It's happening. He hasn't been good to start the year, right? After we were talking him up on the channel for, the whole summer essentially. But I think a lot of this has to do with the start that Zach Bolduc is having in Montreal, right? He's having an unbelievable start to the season. He's putting up a lot of points. He's scoring goals, right? Here's the thing for me. I don't think Blues fans should panic yet. I get it. Right? He's not playing well. You're expecting a guy to be very exciting if you were making a trade like that he would come out of the gate and be firing on all, put up as many points as Zach Bolduc, who is playing top line minutes right now, essentially, or second line minutes with the Montreal Canadiens. Bolduc has NHL experience. Logan Mailloux really didn't coming into this year, just a handful of games. So didn't really have NHL experience. And he's kind of learning on the fly, too. He's ready to be an NHL defenseman, but he's going to make some mistakes. So I think, I'm here to preach some patience. It's not good right now. It isn't. And I think if it bleeds into the 8, 10 games, something like that, then you're going to have to do something about it. But like you brought up, when he was playing with Broberg, not so bad, right? That obviously has something to do with Broberg and how good he is, but not the worst case scenario. So I'm going to preach some patience here on the channel right now and say that it's going to work out. He's probably not going to put up as many points as Bolduc. Let's manage those expectations. But keep in mind, they traded for this guy for the future. We knew that this team had to get younger on the blue line and start thinking about the future a little bit, and that he's going to be the future power play quarterback of this team as well. So, ride with it for a little bit longer. Let's see if he continues to figure out the league, because we see it with all young players. They have to figure out the league a little bit. So I think that he'll be okay. It does look rough right now, but all of that to say, if it does bleed in, like I said, to around 10 games, the 10-game mark, there is, something is going to they have to do something about that, is basically what I'm trying to say. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. But Mark, I don't know how you feel about that. Not much to like right now, much to dislike, that's for sure, but we're 3 games in.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Looking at Logan Mailloux only having 11 games in the NHL, it's not like an experienced defenseman coming over, going off to a rough start. And I think we talked quite a bit about this actually, going into the season, that when you ran Tucker and Mailloux as that third pairing, we did see Mailloux with Broberg going in with last game. But I think the biggest thing a lot of fans spoke on, including us, was the fact that this was a really inexperienced pairing going further ahead. If you had Ryan Suter still here, the perfect player to play with Mailloux, but I think this is kind of making Doug Armstrong look and say, hey, if we see a future with Logan Mailloux, maybe we go out to acquire a veteran that can hold it down, a defensive guy. Yes, Logan Mailloux has made mistakes. Yes, he hasn't looked the best in certain situations, but still such a young defenseman. It's not a 24-year-old. This is a 22-year-old defenseman coming into what is going to be his first full season in the NHL. Yes, a lot of his plays you would like to see him fix up. He's had some time in the AHL. He's had 8 games with the Montreal Canadiens. When you look at the Bolduc trade and put it all together, yes, it looks terrible, but with the future of this team, with him being young, you have a young, promising star that has snarl to his game, an offensive defenseman that has worked on the defensive end, and we need to see this translate, of course. But Darius, at the end of the day, the biggest thing with Logan Mailloux is getting more experience. It's going to polish his game, and I know the Blues wish this was happening sooner, but maybe getting a veteran guy to play with him or just keeping him with Broberg for the next couple of games is what he needs to do. But when looking at Mailloux, a big thing is going into the final year of his ELC, getting Logan Mailloux at this point, if he continues like this, you're not going to have to pay him a lot of money. A guy like Bolduc might be asking for $4, $5, $6 million. When looking at Scotia stats, we can see the projection on Mailloux is a bridge deal, $1 million. Do you think this is the situation where they might look at and say, hey, we need to acquire someone to take over this spot on the third pairing? Or do you think Doug Armstrong could look and say, hey, maybe him and Tyler Tucker aren't working together. We know Monty loves Tyler Tucker. Why don't we go out and look for a new partner for Logan Mailloux, either internally or on the trade market?
Well, I think the first step is looking for a different partner, try different pairings, right? They're both really good players. We've seen things out of Tyler Tucker in the past where you're like, okay, he looks like he's going to be a player. And same with Logan Mailloux, right? Like, again, he hasn't played that much at the NHL level, but in the AHL, he's going to be a player, right? I think he needs time to figure out the league. So maybe it's just that inexperience in a pairing that isn't working right now. Maybe explore other things. And like you brought up, again, him and Broberg, Mailloux, did look pretty good, right? So there is something to like there. And obviously that might have more to do with Broberg, but that's the NHL, right? Sometimes you got to pair these inexperienced players with guys that have been there to settle things down. So ultimately, I think he'll be okay. He's a young player who's trying to figure out the league still. So I'm pumping the brakes for now, at least. I know people are going to be upset about it. Give him at least 10 games. But I think ultimately he's going to figure it out. I'm really hoping it doesn't get to the point where they're going to have to make a trade to fill that spot to kind of ride out the rest of the year, make the playoffs, make some noise in the playoffs and stuff like that. I do believe he's going to figure it out. That being said, again, it's not a really good situation right now. It does not look really good, and they're having to play with a couple things. But honestly, I was hoping that pairing would, be very hungry, like there would be some upside there, but clearly so far, I think that you got to switch it up. It's clearly not working, and it might have something to do with just the pairing itself, not necessarily the players. So switch it up a little bit, see what you have there, and then take it from there. It's still very early in the season. A lot of lines are starting to, trying to figure themselves out too. We saw Snuggerud work out on the third line with Suter, right? Like, so things are still in motion. I would give it some time still. And see what happens from there. But if we reach like 10, 15 games into the season, that pairing's not working, and it just looks like Mailloux is not ready for the NHL, then that's a problem. You're probably going to have to go out and make a trade. That's a little bit of a disaster scenario, that's for sure. But give him some time. I think he'll figure it out. There's tremendous upside there, and he's going to be a really good player in the future.
And I think the big thing is, if this was a trade where they traded maybe a second or a third round pick for Mailloux and you didn't have another player having a hot start, I don't think the reactions would be so bad. But the biggest thing with Mailloux, we know, playing with Philip Broberg, who's going to need a new contract at some point, that's going to cost a pretty penny. This is a team that's building something big for the future. They have young defensemen. Philip Broberg is still quite young, 25 years old. This is a young, inexperienced blue line, and I shouldn't say inexperienced. You have guys like Falk, Parayko, Fowler, all these guys, but you have a lot of young guys, not even in their prime yet, Blues fans. What is your thoughts on Logan Mailloux? If you take out the trade completely and you look at it just as him as a player, are you looking for a lot more out of him? Do you think once he gets into the 10 or 15 games, maybe they've reevaluated? What is your thoughts on everything? Let us know down below. And speaking on comments, we'll go straight into comments of the day. Coming from Inside Scene says Pius Suter is a Swiss Army knife.
Okay, so I just wanted to give a shout out to Blues Digest for the shout out for Insights 21 podcasts. We have 900 posts. This is 900 posts in the 300th YouTube video. So I just wanted to thank them for their job and keep doing a good job. Okay, have a good day.